Thanksgiving, the holiday where gratitude and gravy collide, and families come together to eat, laugh, and occasionally judge each other. It's all fun and games until your in-laws walk through the door with their perfected side-eye, a casserole you'll be compared to, and just enough passive-aggressive commentary to keep things interesting. You love them, you really do. But let's be honest, surviving Thanksgiving with your in-laws requires strategy, patience, and maybe a secret stash of wine. Think about it. These are the people who can turn, "Oh, you're wearing that?" into a psychological chess match. They'll ask probing questions like, "When are you finally settling down?" Or, "Is that how you carve a turkey?" All while flashing a smile that's a little too sweet to be innocent. It's not just dinner, it's a test of endurance, wit, and your ability to navigate landmines like a holiday ninja. But fear not. This isn't your first rodeo, or your first overly dry turkey. With the right game plan, you can emerge from Thanksgiving with your sanity intact, your relationship stronger, and maybe even a compliment from your in-laws. Hey, miracles happen. Whether it's handling backhanded compliments, steering clear of family drama, or just surviving the kitchen committee critique of your mashed potatoes, we've got you covered. So, take a deep breath, grab a plate, preferably piled high with carbs, and get ready to tackle this holiday like the Thanksgiving champion you are. With these 10 tips, you'll not only survive the in-laws, you'll thrive, leaving them wondering how you've mastered the art of the holiday hustle. And who knows, by the time dessert rolls around, you might even be having fun. Stranger things have happened at Thanksgiving. Tip 1. Plan ahead. Bring a dish they can't criticize or can't resist. Let's set the scene. The in-laws arrive, their expectations as high as Aunt Karen's hair on prom night. The table is set, and all eyes land on your contribution to the meal. It's a Thanksgiving rite of passage. The moment you're cooking is silently, or not so silently, judged. To sidestep any culinary crossfire, plan ahead and bring something so foolproof, so universally adored, that even the pickiest in-law can't find fault with it. The secret? Go for a classic crowd pleaser, like a dessert. Pie is practically Thanksgiving currency, and the beauty of dessert is that no one expects it to taste just like grandma's. Whether it's a store-bought pumpkin pie, artfully transferred to your own dish, because presentation is everything, or a simple, no-fail cheesecake, you're already ahead of the game. Bonus points. If you slyly ask your in-laws for their expert opinion on the best way to slice it, flattery always softens the blow. If dessert isn't your thing, stick to a side dish that's impossible to ruin. Think mashed potatoes, a casserole, or rolls that come pre-baked. Want to really win the day? Bring a dish that has sentimental ties to their family traditions. Imagine the look of surprise when you say, "I tried to recreate your family's green bean casserole recipe because I know how much it means to everyone." Suddenly, you're not just the partner, you're the MVP. The trick is to steer clear of risky dishes. This is not the time to experiment with avant-garde cranberry foam or deep-fried stuffing balls. Sure, they sound fun, but your in-laws might not appreciate your culinary creativity quite as much as Instagram would. Stick with what works, and leave the experiments for a less critical audience. By bringing a dish that's as safe as it is delicious, you're sidestepping potential critique landmines and starting Thanksgiving on a high note. It's like playing your ace card right out of the gate, leaving everyone too busy enjoying your contribution to notice the turkey is a little dry. Well played. Tip 2. Brush up on the small talk. Avoid trigger topics at all costs. Thanksgiving. The Olympics of small talk. Sitting around the table with your in-laws means walking a conversational tightrope. Dodging topics that could ignite World War III faster than an undercooked turkey ruins dinner. You need a strategy. A mental playbook of safe, neutral topics that keep the mood light and far away from the danger zones. Start with the classics: weather, sports, and maybe a little harmless gossip about the neighbors. You know, the ones who still have their Halloween decorations up. These are your conversational bread and butter. When in doubt, toss in a cheerful, "Can you believe how early it gets dark now?" Boom. Instant discussion material. But the real trick? Know the topics to avoid like your life depends on it. Politics, religion, parenting styles. If it sounds like something people argue about on social media, steer clear. Even seemingly innocent topics, like is turkey overrated, can snowball into a heated debate if the in-laws are particularly passionate about poultry. Your goal isn't to win points for originality, it's to keep the peace. If things start to veer into dangerous territory, use the art of deflection. Someone brings up a controversial subject? Quickly pivot with, "Speaking of that, did you hear they're remaking The Wizard of Oz?" Or, "That reminds me, did you try the sweet potatoes? They're amazing." Sure, it's a little obvious, but desperate times call for desperate measures. And if all else fails, keep a fun fact in your back pocket. Did you know Benjamin Franklin wanted the turkey to be the national bird? Or that there are 4 towns in the US named Turkey? These quirky tidbits are conversational lifesavers when the room starts to feel a little too tense. By mastering the art of small talk, you'll glide through dinner like a seasoned diplomat. The in-laws will marvel at your ability to keep things civil, and you'll avoid becoming the star of a holiday drama. Remember, Thanksgiving isn't the time for debates. It's the time for pie. Always steer the conversation toward pie. Tip 3. Handle the critiques with grace and humor. Thanksgiving critiques are as much a part of the holiday as stuffing and pie. The in-laws will undoubtedly have opinions, whether it's about your cooking, your decorating choices, or that one time you wore sweatpants to a family brunch 6 years ago. The key to survival? Handle their commentary with a mix of grace, humor, and the restraint of a monk who's just been offered a Black Friday deal on patience. Imagine this. You proudly present your mashed potatoes, and your mother-in-law says, "Oh, you didn't use real butter? That's interesting." This is your moment. Instead of firing back or collapsing into a pile of existential dread, flash a smile and say, "You're right. Next year I'll go full Martha Stewart." Humor disarms critiques faster than you can say, "Pass the gravy." For those truly relentless comments, try the agree and deflect method. "You're right, the turkey could use a little more seasoning. I'll blame the recipe." Or, "I know, my gravy's a bit lumpy. Maybe it's a metaphor for life?" By owning the critique, you take the power out of it. Plus, it gives everyone a laugh, which is often enough to steer the conversation into safer territory. Pro tip: if things get really intense, create a mental game of bingo with common critiques. Did someone mention how your house isn't as clean as theirs? Check. Comment on how your stuffing isn't as good as Aunt Carol's. Check. Once you hit 5 in a row, reward yourself with an extra slice of pie. Sometimes, a little humor in your own mind is all you need to stay sane. Remember, critiques often come from a place of awkward love or an ingrained family tradition of helpful feedback. Take it with a grain of salt and maybe a glass of wine. After all, Thanksgiving is just one day, and the only opinion that truly matters is the one that says, "This pie is amazing." Tip 4. Prepare a secret getaway plan for breaks. Thanksgiving isn't just a meal, it's a full-day marathon. Between the cooking, chatting, and fending off backhanded compliments, you're going to need a breather. That's where the secret getaway plan comes in. Think of it as your emergency escape hatch when the in-law intensity starts to reach critical levels. First, scout your options. Is there a quiet room where you can check on something? A conveniently empty pantry where you can suddenly remember you left the good napkins? If you're hosting, you have the perfect excuse. Just need to grab more ice from the garage freezer. If you're a guest, a brisk walk to get some fresh air or an offer to run to the store for a forgotten ingredient works like a charm. Timing is everything. You don't want to vanish too soon and raise suspicion, but you also don't want to wait until Aunt Susan starts her 20-minute story about how cranberry sauce used to be better in the 80s. Choose your moment wisely. Right after dinner is prime getaway time. Everyone's too full to notice you slipping away. While you're on your break, use the time to decompress. Take a few deep breaths, scroll through some memes, or text a friend who knows your in-laws' quirks and can send you a morale-boosting, "You got this" message. Even just a few minutes of alone time can recharge your patience reserves for the next round. For bonus points, come back from your break with a purpose. I just double-checked, and we do have enough whipped cream for dessert. Or, I was thinking about how great the gravy is this year. What's your secret? These little re-entries will make you seem engaged and enthusiastic, even if you were just practicing your deep breathing in the garage. A well-timed getaway isn't just a survival tactic, it's a sanity saver. Use it wisely, and you'll sail through Thanksgiving with your in-laws feeling cool, collected, and maybe even a little smug about your strategic genius. Tip 5. Be ready for the classic family questions and have fun with them. No Thanksgiving with the in-laws is complete without the inevitable barrage of classic family questions. You know the ones. When are you two having kids? How's the job hunt going? Why don't you call more often? These questions are as traditional as the turkey, and they have a way of making you wish you'd stuffed yourself in the oven instead. But here's the secret. Instead of letting these questions catch you off guard, prepare for them. Think of it as a game of verbal dodgeball. You can't stop the questions, but you can deflect them with humor and grace. For instance, when asked, "When are you having kids?" respond with a cheerful, "We're still debating between raising a family or adopting 12 cats. Tough call." It's light, it's funny, and most importantly, it shifts the conversation away from an answer you'd rather not give. For the inevitable, "So, how's work going?" have a stock response ready. Whether it's "still keeping the coffee industry alive" or "I'm working hard to win Employee of the Month myself," a quick, witty reply keeps the tone upbeat and avoids diving too deeply into sensitive territory. And if someone brings up something awkward, like that career change you're still figuring out, smile and say, "I'm exploring all my options right now." Speaking of exploring, who wants more stuffing? If you're feeling really bold, flip the script and ask them a question instead. When are you planning to retire? Or, what's the secret to hosting Thanksgiving without losing your mind? Most people love talking about themselves, and this little maneuver will let you quietly fade into the background. Remember, these questions aren't always meant to be invasive. They're just people's way of trying to connect, however clumsily. By preparing in advance and sprinkling in some humor, you can navigate the interrogation with ease, keeping the mood light and drama-free. And if all else fails, you can always take another break to check on the gravy. Tip 6. Tactfully navigate kitchen duties. The kitchen on Thanksgiving is sacred ground, and also a battlefield. Whether you're hosting or visiting, the in-laws will have opinions about how things should be done. From turkey seasoning techniques to the precise ratio of marshmallows to sweet potatoes, there's no shortage of opportunities for them to help, read, critique. Navigating these waters requires the finesse of a diplomat and the patience of a saint. If your in-laws want to help, let them, strategically. Assign them tasks that are either impossible to mess up or, better yet, ones you secretly didn't want to do. "Would you mind chopping these carrots?" Or, "I'd love your expertise on stirring this gravy just right." Boom. They feel involved, and you keep control of the bigger picture. Plus, giving them busy work minimizes hovering. Now, if they don't want to help but are keen on giving advice, tread carefully. When Aunt Margaret insists that you're stirring the mashed potatoes wrong, just nod and say, "That's a great tip. I'll have to try it next time." It's polite, it's non-committal, and it gently signals that you're not about to abandon your perfectly fine method for hers. If things get tense, play the compliment card. "Wow, you're so knowledgeable about cooking. I can see why everyone loves your green bean casserole." Flattery works like magic. Suddenly they'll be too busy basking in the glow of your praise to question your turkey basting schedule. For extra credit, prepare a decoy task in advance. Something innocuous, like folding napkins into fancy shapes or supervising the rolls in the oven. When someone asks, "What can I do?" you'll have a harmless, low-stakes answer ready that keeps them out of your hair. By tactfully managing the kitchen dynamic, you can maintain your sanity and still make everyone feel like they've contributed. It's a delicate balance, but once mastered, you'll glide through Thanksgiving prep like a seasoned pro, and maybe even get a compliment on your gravy. Or at least, your delegation skills. Tip 7. Master the art of the quick, silent look to your partner. Thanksgiving with the in-laws is a team sport, and your partner is your co-captain. Together, you can navigate even the most treacherous dinner table conversations. But only if you master the art of silent communication. That's right. The quick, knowing glance is about to become your secret weapon. This look isn't just a glance. It's a whole conversation packed into a split second. With one raised eyebrow or subtle head tilt, you can say things like, "Did they really just say that?" Or, "Please, for the love of pie, change the subject." It's your lifeline during those moments when words would only make things worse, or when you're both silently plotting an escape to the dessert table. Practice makes perfect. Before Thanksgiving, spend some time perfecting your signals. The "help me" look should be distinct from the "I've got this" nod, and the "you're up" expression should be unmistakable. If you're really on your game, you can develop a whole system of micro-gestures that rival the efficiency of professional spies. The beauty of these silent exchanges is that no one else at the table has to know what's going on. While Uncle Bob is ranting about the proper way to carve a turkey, you and your partner can silently agree on who's taking point in steering the conversation elsewhere. A well-timed glance can be the difference between a minor cringe and a full-blown Thanksgiving meltdown. And when things are going smoothly, use the "we did it" look to silently celebrate your small victories, like getting through the meal without anyone bringing up politics or your career choices. That quick moment of connection can be the morale boost you need to tackle the rest of the day. With your silent communication game on point, you and your partner will be an unstoppable Thanksgiving duo. No passive-aggressive comment or awkward question can throw you off when you've got each other's backs, one glance at a time. Tip 8. Bring an icebreaker or shared activity. When the conversation starts to drift into treacherous waters, like Aunt Linda's thoughts on cryptocurrency or why kids these days just don't get it, it's time to whip out your secret weapon. A shared activity. Nothing unites a group of people like a common goal, whether it's solving a puzzle, watching a classic Thanksgiving movie, or engaging in some friendly board game competition. Plus, it gives everyone something to focus on besides their opinions about your turkey. The key is choosing an activity that appeals to the widest audience possible. Thanksgiving trivia is a great option. Who wouldn't want to know that the first Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade featured live animals from the Central Park Zoo? Or that Americans eat about 50 million turkeys every year? It's fun, lighthearted, and way less controversial than debating whether the cranberry sauce should be canned or homemade. Board games are another crowd pleaser, but tread carefully. Go for games that are quick and simple, Pictionary or Uno, rather than anything that requires intense strategy or might cause a heated argument over rule interpretations. The goal is bonding, not creating new rivalries over Monopoly hotels. If games aren't your family's vibe, consider a classic movie. Cue up something like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, or even a Charlie Brown Thanksgiving. It's a great way to keep the mood festive and distract everyone from critiquing your gravy or debating the correct way to baste a turkey. And for those especially tough crowds, lean into nostalgia. Suggest an old family photo album session or ask about past Thanksgivings. "What was Thanksgiving like when you were a kid?" is a great conversation starter, and people love reminiscing, especially when it gives them a chance to tell their favorite stories. By steering the day toward a shared activity, you're not just surviving Thanksgiving. You're creating memories, or at least buying yourself a few moments of peace. And who knows? You might just start a new tradition that gets everyone to forget about the turkey entirely. Tip 9. Have a backup food plan in case of disasters. Let's face it, Thanksgiving is a high-stakes culinary operation, and disasters happen. The turkey could end up dry as a desert, the stuffing might turn into cement, or someone could accidentally forget to bring the mashed potatoes they were assigned. That's why having a backup food plan is essential. Think of it as your secret insurance policy against culinary catastrophe. Start by stashing a few extra sides or desserts in your fridge, ready to swoop in and save the day. Store-bought options work perfectly here. Think pre-made mashed potatoes, frozen rolls, or a pumpkin pie that can magically appear just when it's needed. And don't underestimate the power of a cheese and cracker tray. When all else fails, cheese saves lives and taste buds. For bonus points, have a little something unexpected on hand to dazzle your in-laws in case of a food flop. Imagine the turkey is a bust, but you casually pull out a slow cooker full of mac and cheese. Suddenly, you're not the person who failed at Thanksgiving. You're the hero who saved it. Just remember to say, "Oh, it's nothing, really," while secretly basking in your genius. If you're heading to someone else's house, the backup strategy works just as well. Bring an extra dish or dessert with the excuse, "I just thought we might need more options." This way, you're prepared without stepping on anyone's toes. And when the inevitable happens, someone forgets the cranberry sauce or burns the green beans, you'll be there to save the day. Of course, the true magic of having a backup plan is that it gives you peace of mind. Even if the turkey does end up looking like a piece of abstract art, you'll know that the meal isn't doomed. With a little planning and a dash of improvisation, you can handle any food-related disaster Thanksgiving throws your way. Tip 10. End the evening on a positive note. Leave a good lasting impression. Thanksgiving may feel like a marathon, but the last stretch is the most important. After surviving a day of culinary critiques, small talk minefields, and Aunt Susan's unsolicited advice on your life trajectory, it's time to finish strong. Ending the evening on a positive note will leave your in-laws remembering the good vibes and not the time you accidentally spilled gravy on the tablecloth. A great way to wrap things up is with a heartfelt toast. Keep it simple. I'm so grateful to be spending the holiday with all of you. The food, the company, everything has been amazing. It's short, sweet, and almost guaranteed to make even the toughest in-law crack a smile. If you're feeling brave, toss in a touch of humor. And I think we can all agree this year's turkey deserves a standing ovation. Unlike last year's turkey, which was basically shoe leather. Just make sure you're not poking fun at their dish. Another way to end on a high note is to offer one last act of kindness, like serving coffee with dessert or helping with the dishes. Sure, cleaning up isn't glamorous, but it scores major brownie points, especially if you do it unprompted. Bonus. It gives you a chance to accidentally overhear some post-dinner compliments. Did you see how well they handled Aunt Linda's rant? Impressive. If things are winding down, but the energy feels a bit awkward, pull out a light-hearted group activity to close the evening. A quick round of charades, a family photo session, or even just setting up leftovers for people to take home can work wonders. It's like the encore of the Thanksgiving concert, one last cheerful moment before everyone heads out. And finally, as the in-laws prepare to leave, give them a warm send-off. Even if the day was filled with tiny grievances, seriously, who microwaves stuffing? Smile and say, "Thank you so much for coming. I'm really glad we got to spend the holiday together." They'll leave feeling appreciated, and you'll get to enjoy the sweet, sweet silence that follows their departure. With a positive ending, you'll cement yourself as the Thanksgiving MVP, and who knows? They might even look forward to spending time with you again next year. Or, at the very least, they'll remember you as the one who made the day a success, and that's a win in any in-law's book. Congratulations, you've survived Thanksgiving with your in-laws and emerged victorious. Sure, there might have been a few critiques about your gravy consistency or an eyebrow raised at your choice of napkin folds, but you made it. You deflected awkward questions, endured unsolicited advice, and maybe even scored some brownie points with that backup mac and cheese. That's no small feat. It's a holiday miracle. Now, as you collapse onto the couch in a post-Thanksgiving food coma, remember, you're not just a holiday survivor, you're a holiday champion. Your in-laws might think they've tested your limits, but you've proven that with a little humor, a lot of patience, and maybe some pre-stashed pie, you can handle anything they throw your way. Thanksgiving with the in-laws is like the Olympics of family gatherings. You've trained, you've competed, and whether you won their admiration or just survived the day without throwing a dinner roll, you've earned your medal. Take a moment to savor the victory, and maybe pour yourself an extra glass of wine while you're at it. And hey, if things didn't go perfectly, there's always next year to wow them with your turkey carving skills or your ability to avoid any discussion of politics altogether. The important thing is that you showed up, you laughed, and you made it through with your dignity. Mostly intact. So here's to you, Thanksgiving warrior. May your leftovers be plentiful, your naps uninterrupted, and your in-laws slightly more impressed the next time they see you. You've survived Thanksgiving, and that's definitely something to be thankful for.